still have a few more weeks to prepare for the Great Pumpkin's arrival on Halloween, but it's currently flip miss on the plains as Duce Knight, the four-star dual-threat quarterback out of the state of Mississippi, has flipped his commitment from Notre Dame to Auburn. And if you're a Tigers fan, you're waking up with a newfound love of War Eagle this morning. You landed a premier player of the 2025 class, and this is an ideal fit for Hugh Freeze's play calling and offensive personnel. They go together like biscuits and gravy. The job's not done for what we can expect next year, but this is part of the process. So what does Duce Knight bring to the Plains in 2025? What's going on, SEC Unfiltered? It's called Thompson here. Make sure that you like the video, hit the ring notification down below. And if you are a Tigers fan and are just finding this channel, make sure that you smash that subscribe button. Tell really anybody to smash that subscribe button because we're talking about the SEC. Download the podcast version of the show. Follow us on all the socials at SEC Unfiltered to keep up with me, the back and forth banter, the conversations, the takes. It's at Mr. Cole Thompson on Twitter and Instagram. And check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. This episode is brought to you by our friends over at RHOBACK. Don't you want to look good and feel good this upcoming fall? Do so at RHOBACK.com with the promo code SECU for 20% off your first purchase. Joggers, polos, hoodies, shorts, much, much more. You got the fall foliage pictures. You want to look the dress of the nine on game days. Do so with RHOBACK.com. Duce Knight is a special player. This is somebody who can elevate your roster from being a 7-win team to a 9-win team, being an 8-win team to a college football playoff dark horse, from a college football playoff dark horse into a national champion contender. One of the more sought-after prospects coming out of Lucedale, Mississippi, had a phenomenal junior season, and now he looks to be paired alongside with Hugh Freeze, who, in my opinion, is an ideal fit for what Duce Knight likes to do. We throw around the terms dual threat all the time, and that just means that a quarterback can be mobile. He can boot, scoot, and boogie like Bricks and Dunn outside of the pocket. This is pure mobility. This is somebody that is not afraid to tuck and run, saddle that sideline like Jalen Milroe against Georgia, and go for 60 yards down the field. This is a guy who will have run design plays specifically catered toward his strength. That way he keeps momentum at an all-time high. And that's exactly what you want to see from a guy in Hugh Freeze. Look at what he did when he was at Ole Miss with Chad Kelly. Look at what he did when he was at Liberty with Malik Willis. Look at why a lot of people thought at the time Peyton Thorne would be a quality fit to run this offense down in 2023 and in 2024. There was reasons to believe that because of the mobility aspect, you could work with number one. Ultimately, that didn't pan out, but it can with Duce Knight. This is somebody that you can put your eggs in the basket and believe he will be a difference maker. And speaking of eggs in the basket, I love this fit for Hugh Freeze because of now people are going to start to get off his case just a little bit. One of the main reasons why he was brought in was because of his ability to recruit, his ability to sell a program, put a team in the right direction because of how he was able to put a program on a pedestal. And that's exactly what he did with Auburn last year. Top 10 recruiting class. That's what he did this year. Top 10 recruiting class currently. Land yourself a 4-star. But do you remember when Josh Heupel came into Tennessee and he had two quarterbacks in Hendon Hooker and Joe Milton, but he wanted to go land his quarterback, a guy that fits his offense, a guy that he believes can be a difference maker for his team? That was Nico Iamaleava. And now we're seeing the fruits of the labor actually take flight in 2024 as the Volunteers feel like a perennial playoff contender and maybe even a dark horse to win the national title. That could be Hugh Freeze with Duce Knight. This is a quarterback that caters towards his strengths, has very few weaknesses for the style that wants to be run on the plains. And now you can believe that whenever it's time for him to take center stage, he is going to fit like a glove. It is going to be a 1-2 combination. Heupel is humming right now in Knoxville. The same thing could be said on the plains with people praising Freeze's name because of what they have in Duce Knight. And this also does wonders for the recruiting trail aspect because anybody that goes ahead and signs on to play at Auburn is now realizing we're playing with a difference maker. I'm catching footballs from a guy that might eventually win a Heisman Trophy. I'm catching balls from a guy who might lead us to a national title. I'm blocking for a guy who might end up being a first-round pick, and I get to be a part of his process. We all are coexisting together. If I'm a defensive player, I'm saying, I want to get the ball back to number 2. I want to get the ball back to this offense so they can put up a lot of points and our job can become easier. We just got a 3 and out so they can capitalize. Now, with all this being said, the main caveat that we have to wonder about, especially if you are an Auburn fan, well, when does Duce Knight come around? Because I mentioned Nico Iamaleava. This was the guy that ended up living to expectations through the first month of the season. he sat for last year. And in my opinion, Auburn right now does not have its 2025 quarterback on the roster. The guy who is going to be the difference maker on setting the tone next season resides somewhere else. I don't know where he is in the transfer portal. I don't know what school is potentially going to be going after him. I don't know if Auburn's going to have enough ploy to be able to make a pitch to bring him down to the Plains. But the current quarterback for 2025 is not on staff. However, Duce Knight being your secondary option, not the end of the world. It's actually a very good thing. You want him to sit. You want him to learn. I actually think that you don't even want to see him touch the field in 2025 because the good thing would be he would know the ins and outs of Hugh Freeze's offense to take that next step. So let's just say you land a player like Malik Murphy from Duke next year, not saying that he is entering the transfer portal, but he ends up having a phenomenal year, lives up to all the expectations, puts himself on the map, and then Hugh Freeze says, Duce, it's time for you to throw them up. Go ahead and boot, scoop, and boogie in the end zone. Go ahead and lead our team to a national championship. And he can do so because Nico Iamaleava sat and learned an entire offense led by Josh Heupel, and now he's better suited for it. The same thing could be happening for Duce Knight. If you're an Auburn fan, you have to be excited about this move, not because of your trending upward for 2024, not because of you're going to be in the conversation for a national championship next year, but you see the vision. You see the identity. You know that there is something in the works with Hugh Freeze at the helm. And ultimately, isn't that all you need to know that there is somebody currently on staff making you a better program? There's going to be years where Auburn won't get to 10-2, but there are years where they will. And with a quarterback like Duce Knight, with the recruiting class, having the right personnel, hey, we got the right coach. Now we also have the right recruiting basis. Now we have the right recruiting grounds to bring in premier players. Everything moving forward is just about production and developing talent. If we do that, why can't we be alongside Alabama? Why can't we be alongside of Georgia? Why can't we be alongside of Tennessee? Because those are the expectations that our boosters have. Well, now we're putting our money where our mouth is. We're bringing in the right transfers. We're recruiting at an elite basis. And more importantly, we got a quarterback that fits this system like a glove. This is an ultimate win if you're Hugh Freeze. This is an ultimate win if you are a Tiger fan. And this is an ultimate win for Duce Knight. Because even though you may have some questions when it comes to Hugh Freeze's overall persona, who he is as a person, when it comes to a play caller, there are very few things that go well together, like the style of offense that Duce Knight is best at and the style of play calling that Hugh Freeze loves to do. You put that on the Plains, you might be in for a recipe and disaster come 2025 and well beyond it. But let me know in the comment section down below. What are your overall thoughts on Auburn landing 4-star quarterback Duce Knight, flipping him from Notre Dame? It's Flipmas season. We got everything going on here. So the best way to make sure that you keep up to pace, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below on the SEC Unfiltered channel. Follow us on all the socials at SEC Unfiltered. Download the podcast version of the show and check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. I'm Cole Thompson. War Eagle, Auburn Nation. Peace.